So if you've been a subscriber to the channel for a long time, you know that I do not curse in any of my reviews or videos. But today, I'm reviewing a Netflix show, and the title itself, it has a curse word. It's called Boo Bitch. What's going on, everyone? James here with another real review, and today, yes, we're diving into the 8-episode television series on Netflix, Boo Bitch. I'm, again, very weirded out by saying that word on the channel, but a huge thank you to Netflix for giving me the chance to watch this for review. You can check it out when it drops today on Netflix. I actually was really excited for this show because of one name and one name only, Lana Condor. I think she is great. She's been in so many things that I absolutely love her, and I actually have not seen something where I've said, oh, Lana Condor's in it? No, I'm always thinking, yes, Lana Condor's in this movie. So I'm just excited to see what's ahead, but we got a lot to talk about. But before we get into what works and what didn't work with this series, if it is your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James, where I love breaking down movies, TV, and all the news in between. So if you don't want to miss out, go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, tap on the bell, and hit the thumbs up button for more Netflix content just like this. And guys, if you missed it, I dropped all of my Stranger Things Season 4 content on the channel and my Thor Love and Thunder review. Yeah, that movie, it's great. But guys, let's get into Boo Bitch and talk about what exactly this show's all about. The showrunners are Iungerich and Erin, Ehrlich, and the cast is led by Lana Condor, Zoe Colletti, Mason Versaw, Aparna, Brielle, Tenzing, Norgay, Trainor, and Genao. So the premise actually of the show itself is pretty simple and pretty promising on the surface. Basically, it reads just like this. Over the course of one night, a high school senior who's lived her life safely under the radar seizes the opportunity to change her narrative and start living an epic life, only to find out the next morning that she's a ghost. They used a different word in the Netflix summary there, but yeah, we're not reading that. You get one curse word from me today, guys. Alrighty, y'all. So let's get into this 8-episode series. Each episode is about 30 minutes each, so it is a very bingeable show. It's bite-sized, but is it worth the ride? Let's start out with the positives here, because guys, you know we like to keep it optimistic here on the channel, and there are a few good takeaways here. Lana Condor and Zoe Colletti really are the two best actors across the entire season. Lana Condor plays Erika Vu, a high school senior who's been overlooked pretty much her entire young adult life, and she doesn't even get the respect she deserves at school among her peers. She's been called Helen Who for a long time, which is so sad, and she does have a bully named Riley. But guys, this character wants to be noticed, and she also has a crush on Jake C, who is dating her arch nemesis, Riley. Oh, and on top of all of that, she is a ghost. So you can tell Lana Condor takes all of these elements, and she's having fun with the role sometimes. She actually has a lot of moments where I thought, man, she is making the best of this script. And I knew Lana Condor could bring it, because in To All the Boys, those films, she did a really good job at really just understanding the assignment and knowing how much energy to bring, and this show definitely, well, requires a lot of high energy. So that leads me to Zoe Colletti, who plays Gia, Erika Vu's best friend forever, or BFF. Sorry, trying to speak in acronyms like they did in the show, but man, I love Zoe Colletti's ability to really portray this character in a quirky way. Her personality was very, again, high energy, and she was kind of all over the place mentally, and well, she was doing a ton in the series, sometimes doing the most. But Zoe Colletti really displays the most range in this show, and the writers really give her character the emotional beats that I think this series desperately needed. And at times, she overshadows Lana Condor in some moments. I like their character development together, but well, we'll talk about character development as this review goes on. Let's move on to another character here, and that's Jake C, played by Mason Versaw, and again, he's Erika Vu's love interest, but this guy is more than just the high school heartthrob. He's got some layers to him, and I believe that this character could have had an even stronger arc if there was more development. I think there's a lot of potential here that isn't realized, and there are moments where I think, man, we almost need a Jake C episode. There's a lot to unpack in some of the things he says about not wanting to be controlled, about wanting to make his own decisions, and it's very interesting to see how they get into the psyche of the character, but they do that so quickly, and you blink and they're on to the next. So not marinating enough there for me, but at least Mason Versaw does a decent job with the role. And like I mentioned earlier, the story on the surface sounds fun. Now I know I'm not the target audience for teen shows, but I like a lot of these shows honestly because it's a nice escape from the overly dramatic movies and TV series that I usually watch on a daily basis. I enjoyed movies like To All the Boys, right? I've enjoyed all of that kind of content. I mean, The Kissing Booth is an exception, we won't talk about that. But here, at least the premise grabbed me. But was all of that enough to really make for a good experience? Well guys, I have bad news for you. Unfortunately, we're getting right into the negatives, and it starts with this. Boo Bitch is a huge mess. I mean, my goodness, my head was completely spinning, and not in a good way, because of how much went wrong in this 8-episode season of television. I mean, my goodness. Alright, let's begin with the writing here because, man, the way they wrote some of the characters and the script itself was... Ugh. There's just a lot of terrible and uninteresting dialogue that really doesn't serve our actors well. And good writing really understands the strengths of their actors and of their cast, and I just didn't feel like from start to finish the script really knew how to cater to Lana Condor, for example, and her strengths, and even Zoe Colletti. It seems like sometimes they understood it and most times they didn't. It's just a lot of what they did okay in this show came too little too late. And there's also a ton of conversations that just completely lost me. Again, I'm not the base audience for this, but speaking in acronyms happens too often. I mean, who is naturally speaking in acronyms as often as they do in this show? And also, who really says BT dubstep in a conversation? Who? And lastly for this section, there's also this character turn for Erika that is just incredibly jarring and not even funny in the slightest. Seriously guys, the writing just, oof, it ain't good. But that's not all. There's also the story itself, because what was promising on the surface, well, when you get a little bit deeper, you find out that there are a ton of cracks. The progression for the story here was unnatural. We never had time to marinate with these characters and understand the ramifications of their actions. It's too quickly paced. We're going from point A to point B so fast that we even forget where we're at, and by the time we're at point F, we forget everything that just happened before. There's way too much happening in such a short period of time that it almost feels like you're getting lost, but not because it's a complex story, it's just because there's too much happening and you can't resonate with any of it. We had no time to really settle with our characters, and honestly, the short runtimes, I get it, maybe are appealing to some, but for me, I was worried that maybe they didn't have time to squeeze in enough, and well, it seems like they tried to squeeze in too much. There was no consistent flow from episodes 1 all the way to episode 8. I really wish that there was something more to latch onto here, but again, just failed execution on that front. And then the third point I have here is really the acting. Outside of Lana Condor and Zoe Colletti, there's really nothing to rave about here. The cast itself really doesn't have a lot of good chemistry with one another. There's a lot of throwaway characters here. Speaking of Riley earlier, guys, Riley, played by Aparna Brielle, is this generic bully that we've seen time and time again. What separates her character from the other bullies we've seen in teen dramas and teen movies? Not much, honestly. It didn't feel good. It almost felt like when I was watching it, I thought, well, this isn't gonna happen, this is gonna happen, and all of my predictions pretty much came true. I just wish it was less predictable and a little bit more unique. And then you have Jake C's entire crew, which is wholly unbelievable as a group of friends. It's like all of them were on different pages. Seriously, none of them were together. I mean, yeah, they were physically together, but I don't know, this didn't sell me on a group of friends throughout high school. And don't get me started on Erika's parents, because there were a lot of weird decisions they made with these characters, especially with her dad. It's almost shocking, because I get that maybe it's supposed to be funny, but well, the humor doesn't work in this show, so these moments didn't make me laugh and it made me scratch my head instead. Her father would offer Erika weed, alcohol, and was getting really excited about her possibly doing things with other guys, and it's kind of odd. So overall, you guys, what do I think of Boo Bitch? Well, it has a promising story on paper, but the execution was off, and it made for an awful time through 8 episodes. I hate coming on the channel and talking negatively about anything, but sometimes, guys, I just have to be honest. This is really a show that is trying too hard to feel like a teen or young adult drama, and instead it doesn't have an identity. There's no focus, so it's trying to be something it really isn't doing well at being anyway. Again, there's zero identity here, no focus, and there are bad performances outside of Lana Condor and Zoe Colletti, and this dialogue, gosh, it was just not good. It was mind-numbingly bad at some points. So guys, unfortunately, Boo Bitch is just one of the more forgettable series that I'm going to watch this year, and if you had to ask me, do you recommend it? Honestly, no. If you are a huge mega Lana Condor fan, you're gonna watch it anyway, and when you do, of course, let me know in the comments what you think. But man, I just really wish that this was much better because it had some promise. It just never really delivered. So there you have it, guys. That's my real review of Boo Bitch. Again, it's on Netflix now, so when you see it, let me know down below in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Or are you kind of in the middle? And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the big red button below. Subscribe to the channel, tap on the bell, and hit the thumbs up button. We got some more Netflix content to talk about as we go on this month. I'm looking at The Gray Man. I honestly can't believe that's right around the corner. I've actually been anticipating that one for a little while now, so I'm excited to see how that pans out, and so much more. It's July, right? That means we got San Diego Comic-Con. I'm not going, at least not this year, but I'm going to be covering it on the channel, so I can't wait, guys. Again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening. And man, okay, I'm going to go watch Star Wars The Clone Wars. I gotta wipe my mind of this. Yeah.